All right. So again, right on time, and I see Jeni is already queued up. Hi, Jeni. How are you?
I'm good. I don't know why I'm so dark. There, is that a little better? I'm great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Yo, you're so welcome. Thanks for being here. I'm going to go ahead and hand the stage over to you. You get an extra maybe 30 seconds. Today is Jeni Snider. Thank you, Jeni. Take it away.
Oh, thank you so much. So yes, I'm Jeni Snider with Snider Law PLLC here in Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm an estate planning attorney. And so today I wanted to spend my 20 minutes talking about some of the things to make sure that, as we end this year and go into 2023, that we're really setting ourselves up personally and business wise with the best foundation for the best success as we go forward. So, oftentimes I'm called upon to walk my clients through what it would look like in their family um, when they can't make their own decisions, right? When you're incapacitated, when, whether it's through illness or injury or permanently, and then through death, who would take care of your children? What happens to your stuff? And as business owners, this becomes crucial because we need to figure out how the business is going to keep running. We've got employees to pay. We have third party vendors, distributors, landlords. We have customers and clients to serve. And so when we're all excited about starting our business and running our business, but part of the foundation of our business is really to take that time to think, okay, now what happens if I'm not at the helm and I can't make the decisions or pay the people that need to get paid, right? So it's really taking the time when we're still healthy and still okay to make those decisions, really think through about what your goals are for your business, and and start with the end in mind, and then backtrack it to today, whether you're starting your business today or you've already been in your business for a while. If you haven't taken the time to think those things through, I invite you to do that now, because really there's no time like the present, since we really just don't know what's going to happen to us and our businesses. And honestly, even if it's something that happens to a loved one and we just need to step away from our business for a short time to grieve, we really need to have systems in place so that our business has that continuity. And especially if you plan on selling your business at some point, right? Because at some point, if you want to step away from your business, even if you have capacity to retire or go on vacation, you want to make sure that your systems are really solid. So, with that, I'd love to spend the rest of my time talking about what makes a super solid foundation in a business, and so that you can see where the holes might be in your own business and fill those holes in going forward. So the first one, I call it the four core, right? The first one is legal, right? The law. As a lawyer, I'm going to put myself first. And the first thing that we do when we set up a business is we have a legal entity. And whether you filed something with the Secretary of State or not, you have a legal entity as soon as you go into business. But when you go through the process of registering your business as an LLC or a corporation, what you're really doing is creating a bubble around your own assets so that your business is completely separate from you. And that if there is a lawsuit, your own personal finances and assets are going to be protected. However, this protection is only so good as you maintain the corporate formalities for your business. So just make sure you understand that it's not a one and done, I filed and I'm good. There are annual requirements with the Secretary of State, and every state might have a little different requirement. So just make sure that you know what is required for your type of business entity and in your state. And I invite you to please always maintain those corporate formalities, because if you do get sued, the first thing they're going to look at is, hey, do you treat your business like a business, or is it kind of your own personal bank account? And if that's the case, they're going to do what's called, pierce the corporate veil and suddenly open your individual personally owned assets to your creditors if there's a lawsuit. So we just don't want that. And if you're running your business as a sole proprietorship, really you have to consider that you've never even created the separation between your business and yourself. So you may want to consider doing that, as we end this year and into the new year. Say, hey, what is my vision for my business? Because right now, if it's just you and there is no formal separation, all of your assets are at risk. And also, if you want to scale your business at some point, if it's owned as a sole proprietorship, it's like selling yourself. You need to act a separate entity that you would be able to sell. And then once you get that legal entity all set up, you also need to think about the other legal aspects of your business. You have employees. You want to have employee contracts. If you need non-competes, you need to have those in place. I have a colleague who loves to tell the story of the company that used their favorite lawyer, Mr. Google Esquire, and they got some language online that that looked like a non-compete, and they drafted it in, and everybody signed it, and it turned out that the clause was actually against themselves. And so now legally, they're not allowed to compete with their employees when the employees leave. And of course, as you can imagine, they're involved in multiple lawsuits, and they're trying to convince the courts that, oops, we didn't mean it that way, and you should disregard our language. So we don't want to rely on Mr. Google, and we definitely don't want to rely on hopes and prayers to run our business, really where we're really looking to avoid court time, which is very expensive, and conflict, which is extremely stressful and potentially can affect the longevity of your business. So you want to have, employee manuals, you want to have systems in place, you want to have contracts with all of your third-party vendors, with your landlord. None of this wink, wink, nudge, nudge stuff. You really don't want to rely on trusting somebody because we just don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. And sometimes when things go awry, that's where, people's claws come out. And also with your business partners, you want to make sure to have in place partnership agreements, operating agreements, because really up front when you're setting up your business, or right now if you're already in business, this is the time when you're not in conflict to think about some of the things that might happen, some scenarios that you might want to walk through now so that you don't wait until there's conflict and learn the hard way that you're not on the same page. In addition, you want to also have contracts or agreements in place with all your clients and customers. And really document that relationship from the very beginning. Recently, I heard a story about a flooring company that was hired to restore some flooring. And they pointed out to the homeowners that there's some of the flooring that cannot be restored. It would have to be replaced. And at the end of this sort of flooring restoration, where that damage was still there, they actually tried to sue the flooring company, saying that they had caused that damage. But because the employees had documented from the beginning with very detailed notes and photographs of the floor before, during, and after the job, when they got sued, they were able to show that documentation and get that lawsuit thrown out. And it's also another way to decide whether or not you're going to allow a lawsuit to go forward. Because if you see conflict in the horizon, if you review your notes about that customer or client and you see that, oops, you really did do something wrong, you're going to be in a position to offer, to either refund their money or make them whole or fix it in some way. But if you see that the evidence shows that you're completely fine, you've not done anything wrong, then you're much more likely to go ahead, go forward, and allow them to maybe create that conflict, knowing that you're going to be able to resolve it in your favor. So just, thinking about those legal aspects. Same thing with, who owns your intellectual property? Are you protecting your trademarks? Do you have terms of use and privacy policies on your website? Who's creating your website content and who owns it? Very important to figure that out and have that in writing so that you know and avoid that conflict. The next core piece of your foundation for your business is your insurance. I've heard it said that insurance means I love you, which I'm not 100% sure that's what I want to hear from a loved one. But I do think that there's actually some truth to that. I recently I have pet insurance and had to bring my little dog to NC State Animal Hospital. And I was able to get her a lot better care because the insurance was going to pick up 90% of the bill. So rather than having a $5,000 bill, when I'm looking at $500, I can make different decisions based on the insurance coverage that I have. So when you're looking at insurance, there are so many different types out there. We're so familiar, obviously, with auto insurance, home insurance, renter's insurance if you don't own your home, health insurance, life insurance. Making sure, by the way, with life insurance, the ultimate I love you to family members, make sure you're not underinsured. And that goes for all the different insurance products out there. Make sure that you're adequately insured. If I see a client makes, $500,000 a year, has 5-year-old children, and has $150,000 in term life insurance, I'm not so sure that that is really going to cover the needs of their spouse and their children going forward long term. So when you're thinking of insurance, not just do you need it, but also do you have adequate coverage for what's going to come into your life. So you're also looking at potentially disability insurance, long-term care insurance. If you do have business partners, you can actually fund that buy-sell agreement with buy-sell insurance. There can be key man insurance. You're looking at workers' comp. You're looking at so many different insurance products out there, errors and omission, malpractice. So you really want to get educated around what's available to you, what do you need, and at what levels. And ultimately, I always recommend an umbrella policy, and you can have one both personally and for your business, in addition to any business liability or business property insurance, so that you are adequately covered in case conflict does arise. Sometimes we can't plan for everything. Someone slips, falls, car accident, things like that. We really just don't know what's going to happen in our lives. So protecting ourselves in the best way we know how and really building that foundation for our business is really top priority as you go forward. Because ultimately, if you build a mansion on a foundation meant for a mobile home, eventually your business is going to get too big for that foundation and everything's going to crumble, right? So if you don't have the proper insurance or legal forms in place and a big lawsuit comes through, then you can actually end up losing everything and that could have been avoided with the proper foundation. And then the next one would be finances. So a lot of us are guilty of sort of looking at the revenue, thinking, okay, I'm looking at my bank account. We call this bank account accounting, right? It's like making sure that I can afford this. I can afford this new employee, this piece of equipment, this upgrade, this new location, because I see that the balance in my bank account can cover this expense. We don't want to be doing this. We want to really be relying on actual business reporting and financials, profit and loss statements, and regular meetings with our financial advisors and bookkeepers to make big business decisions. And this obviously, all of this goes for personal as well. If you can afford that vacation or not, or the bigger house, you want to make sure that you're making decisions based on real financial reporting and not checkbook accounting. And speaking of bookkeepers, I was once given wonderful advice to hire a bookkeeper right off the bat. A lot of us think, well, my business is too small, or I'll wait. And then suddenly you get too busy in the business, and now you've got to take time to hire a bookkeeper, and that bookkeeper has to clean up a big mess. So I really love the advice of hiring a bookkeeper as soon as you can, or at least having very, very solid bookkeeping capabilities, so that it doesn't ever get to be a mess. Because the next step, the next core piece of the foundation is your taxes. And if you keep really good financials and you are on top of what's going on in your business, then you can go ahead and properly prepare for and pay for your taxes. Most of us, we're always hearing about the IRS and tax evasion and people not paying their taxes. And of course, do not avoid paying your taxes. But most of us are actually guilty of overpaying our taxes. We're really not taking the deductions that are open to us and our businesses. The IRS actually really loves entrepreneurs, and they love self-starters who are willing to take on that risk. They give us a lot of deductions that, are available to us that are not available to W-2 employees. So it's really making sure that you're maximizing the deductions that you're allowed to take. You cannot rely just on your CPA at the end of the year when they're really busy to make those deductions for you. If you keep track of the financials throughout the year and regularly meet with your tax advisor so that they can let you know what you should be tracking throughout the year to properly deduct all of your available tax deductions, then you can really set yourself up to pay adequate taxes. That really is something that I always encourage my clients to do. I want you to pay taxes, but I want you to pay adequate taxes, not extra. And so really keeping all of those in mind as you create the foundation of your business is really important. And I call it the four core. So when you look at the foundation, there are really four advisors that you need to make sure that you're creating the foundations properly. We can't know everything. And actually, one of the earlier speakers said that all you need is a little nugget of information that you can help grow. And I absolutely love that piece, because all you really need to know is need to pay taxes. Now I know I've got to go and find out who knows more than me about paying taxes for my business or in my personal life. And I'm going to go and either learn from them or hand them the job to do for me for a fee. So you're looking at your lawyers, right? Your estate planning attorneys. If you don't have an estate plan in place, I cannot stress enough how important that is, especially if you're in business, because your business would go through probate and ultimately would be owned by family members that may or may not know how to run your business and may actually go to minor children. And obviously, they can't inherit, and that looks like a really big mess for the family and for any guardians, especially if you have business partners. So we want to avoid all of that and have a really comprehensive estate plan in place. So you're looking at estate planning attorney, probably a business attorney. And by the way, attorneys are kind of like doctors. You know better than to go to a knee surgeon for open heart surgery. We just wouldn't do that. And yet lawyers are kind of like, oh, you're a lawyer, you know the answer. Well, the law is an extremely vast chasm of just lots of information that is ever changing. And so really, I recommend that you don't just say, okay, that's my one lawyer and they're going to do everything for me. It really is figuring out, again, the nugget, piece of information, and then go and find the expert in that field. Your estate planner, your business attorney, maybe a trademark attorney, your litigation attorney, if it turns out you're getting sued, your M&A attorney, if you want to combine businesses or grow. So really, you want to make sure that you're going to somebody who is an expert in their field. It's very niche right now. So I encourage you to not think of your lawyer as one person. And the same goes for your insurance agent. You may end up having more than one, because your malpractice or your life insurance, your homeowner's insurance, your car, your health insurance, those might have to be with different companies and different people. And so it really is a category of people, but certainly really getting educated around what kind of brokers and what kind of products you need is really important. And then with finance, the same thing, because you're going to want your financial advisors to help you see where you are today and where you want to go. Make sure that you're saving enough for retirement, or that you can really afford the expansion or whatever change in your business, hiring somebody, et cetera. And also your bookkeeper, right? And so those are just two of the financial advisors that I would recommend that you have at a minimum. And then your tax attorney, tax advisor, CPA for that tax piece. So I think that really, if you go into 2023 with that in mind and really use this month to set yourself up for the best success possible in 2023 and grow your business on that solid foundation, because once you have that, you've really maximized you keeping yourself out of court and out of conflict. And should conflict arise, you not only have very few holes in your foundation, but you've also established really strong ties with the advisors you would have to go to resolve that conflict quickly and in the least expensive way possible. I also created, I know I've got about a minute left. I wanted to invite you. You can certainly check out my website, ncsniderlaw.com. There's some information there about what I do and the estate planning work that I do and who I am. And also, if you go to ncsniderlaw.com/business, I have actually created a little sort of mini self-assessment quiz for you so that you can see in each of those core areas how solid your foundation is, and that you can I've done it so there's 10 questions in each, and it's very much like yes or no. And then what I invite you to do is see where you're weak, and until you get a 10 out of 10, keep those nuggets in mind and go and grow those. I would say keep the seeds, right, and grow those trees and really build that solid foundation so that your business can really be maximized, and whatever vision that you have for your business, it can be achieved in the least resistance possible. So that's ncsniderlaw.com/business. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeni. Please put that link in the chat, and because it's so important with entrepreneurs. We don't always think about business insurance, right? As coaches, as intangible service providers, but there are things that we could easily be sued for that we're not thinking about. And you literally just gave us a tool that can help self-assess. So that tool in the chat would be amazing. Thank
Yes.
you. There was so much information there. My head is like, so I need to do the assessment.
Yes, I absolutely. As I said, no one's going to know your answers, right? This is just, it's a
Right, right.
PDF. You can print it out. No one's going to know, but don't have, and that's the biggest thing I would say. The last piece is don't have shame around it.
Right.
If you haven't paid your quarterly taxes yet, definitely pay them before January 15th. But if you haven't paid them, if you are behind, if your finances don't look good, don't have shame because we all worry about whether or not it's enough, or people are going to judge us. It really is
Right.
about just owning yourself now, seeing where your vision is, and really getting the advisors that are going to get you there. And I know there's so many coaches in this group who are going to help people get to where they want to be. So that's why I love this group. I think Women's Entrepreneurial Network is awesome. So thank you.
It is awesome. Thank you so much for being here. And again, I feel like I want to celebrate. We are on time again, and I am so excited.